Minecraft is one of the biggest cultural icons of the modern age. It is a toy line, an educational tool, the foundation for many YouTubers' career, and a multi-billion-dollar franchise. But most of all, it is a multi-platform game about blocks. The game has been and continues to be regularly updated by a team of developers at Mojang Studios, and they've been in full control of the game since 2014, well, under the looming eye that is Michael X. Soft's Game-O Computer Company. But I doubt anyone really needs another crash course on this game. What may require a crash course is the fourth word of the title. Minecraft is a post-gender masterpiece, so let's start with the basics. Gender. Gender is A. one of the main characters in the animated television series Futurama. B. the trait that determines whether a sexually reproducing animal or plant produces male gametes or female ones. C. the gametes themselves. D. none of the above. I don't think I'm allowed to use Jeopardy music here, legally, so I'm just gonna talk to you while that's right! D! None of those. Gender is a sociological concept, one generally defined as one along the lines of gender is a sociological classification based on one's identity, presentation of self, behavior, and interaction with others. Sociologists view gender as learned behavior and a culturally produced identity, and as such, it is a social category. Thank you, Vodka. We know gender and sex are different because similar neurological behaviors between trans and cis folks of the same gender are more prevalent than trans and cis folks of the same sex, which is also how we know trans people are scientifically, I think. Fun fact. That being said, we know the actual classification of behaviors and whatnot as genders, specifically the big two, are socially constructed because, we made them up way before we proved that. Tons of cultures associate wildly different attributes to the genders. Many have more or less. Homies were, to use a technical term, shooting in the dark for real. And that's not to say gender isn't based on anything. If I have a gradient from red to blue, I could call it red and blue. I could call it red, purple, and blue. Red and purple and indigo and blue. Purple! Who cares? The actual names don't really matter much. Well, at least to a post-genderist, it doesn't. According to Wikipedia, because everything else might as well have been typed in parcel tongue to an average layman, post-genderism is a social, political, and cultural movement which arose from the eroding of the cultural, psychological, and social role of gender, and an argument for why the erosion of binary gender will be liberatory. In simpler terms, why require the gradient to be assigned red or blue? Why assign any superficial traits to red or blue? Why force or organize society around people being red or blue? Specifically, red or blue. To a post-genderist, you can identify with the gender you think fits or none at all. Society and politics should be entirely blind to that identity regardless. In real life, for example, it shouldn't be being a man that makes you use a urinal bathroom. It's wanting to, and men get drafted 'cause strong and duty, or whatever. It's people who meet the requirements sign up of their own volition. It's not men can cry or complain, or whatever. It's open people talk about things and closed off people don't. Essentially, regardless of what's there, making it so, it doesn't matter. If you want to learn more about this concept, just check the citations on the Wikipedia page, because here on YouTube, it is just transphobes saying the transes are going to end society and megadeth every child with grooming induction on Earth, or whatever. I mean, you're not going to get very much out of it. Now, many of you, having heard that, have either raised some really good points in your mind about why Minecraft obviously fits, or fall short of that standard. Or, you could be calling me an SJW, ruining something with politics, or say that I don't understand a topic I've been researching for a quarter of my life, and a game I've played for almost half my life. Either way, it's time to ask the question. Is Minecraft post-gender? Okay, well, I feel as if that's not the best start. Never state a yes or no question halfway through your point, especially when your title answers it, spoiler alert. So, we'll start a bit smaller. Does Minecraft have sexes? Heading back to our multiple choice question from earlier, we have A, definition of sex, the trait that determines whether a sexually reproducing animal or plant produces male gametes or female ones. However, this is hardly a useful definition for both Minecraft and real life. Human-wise, we have more than one sex trait. I mean, we have chromosomes that usually code for naughty bits, which usually correspond to hormone distributions that usually develop secondary characteristics in puberty and usually fall within one of two small ranges of baseline traits. Notice I said usually a lot. Haha, that's because a lot of people actually don't fall into that. Homies with Y chromosomes could not code for the bit, you might think. Homies with the bit, you might think, might not have the corresponding hormone or secondary characteristics. Homies may over or under express sex traits for indeterminate and extensive reasons. Regardless, they fall somewhere on the infinite decimals between or outside of one or two options that, a society often gives. While you could ignore, and I guess ram them into one or two, like a worryingly large percentage of people do, it's just more accurate and precise to acknowledge that they're intersex, which just means different than those with binary sexes. And I don't know about y'all, but just ignoring an estimated 135,154,076 people because miscellaneous category heard brain too big, it doesn't really sound like the best thing to do. In Minecraft, though, it is open and shut impossible to ignore. Since the beginning, all animal mobs were designed to have traits of both dipoles and mate with any other animal. Something that is so common knowledge that I'm surprised I took this long to mention it. There are some exceptions though. The Ender Dragon is only alluded to as female because egg. That being said, egg always grows up to be another egg-laying dragon. Steve and Alex are where things get a little weird. Now, it's very easy to say girl, boy, bird thing, case closed, gender once you go home. But Steve's designer, somewhat, very ironically, wanted him to be genderless. Pretty sure that was even a contributing factor to the beard being removed. Alex seems like a female, but she's based on gens, a scrawny dude with more or less the same exact phenotypes. And, I mean, what chromosomes does Minecraft Man have? What would they even be? He bought game! No DNA! What secondary characteristics do they have? Like, actually look at their skins. Rougher or smoother skin? Big, small? No, really. Baseline Steve just reads as a crew cut on a person. There's nothing really physically to hold on to. So, does Minecraft even have genders? Are there some descriptions called Steve he and Alex she? There are so many non-binary people that use he or she that I hardly believe this proves anything, especially in the modern age with how liberal the Minecraft developers are. Especially because it's seldom in-game material or developer commentary that says this. On the other hand, Post-genderist theory still works if people identify with the pronoun, it just doesn't have to matter. The only mention of gender I can see remnant in the current version are Enderman and Villager Journeyman, both of which could just conceivably be names, and both of which are names any member of their species could at least potentially hold. So, does Minecraft have gender roles with any weight to them? Witch versus Evoker, that's my thing that came to mind when thinking of gender distinction. Witches are quite obviously designed after not real witches of fantasy works, which are usually, if not exclusively, women. Evokers and other illagers in general really draw from masculine stereotypes. Wizards, Lumberjackman Kubrick stare, guy with crossbow, and elephant. However, since any villager can become a witch, it doesn't seem to be a gender role that women throw glass, more just witches have high-pitched noises and draw from different sources out of universe. Dragons also lay eggs and are exclusively women. However, they're exclusively women, so all roles that all dragons do in Minecraft are ones female ones do, functionally making the gender role irrelevant. Players can assign roles: builder, fighter, explorer, but the gendered nature of these roles would be player constructed if they were gender segregated at all, which would be something to prove, because there doesn't appear to be a gender segregation among player types at all, as far as I'm aware. All of this builds into the final verdict. Just to give you a refresher, post-genderists aren't gonna kill your kids or topple the world unless you have a very interesting conception of it. They're folks that either want to do away with or massively devalue the concept of gender as it relates to society and politics. Given that the gender options are barely, if at all, remarked upon, given that the roles that do exist are not explicitly, thank you dogs, not explicitly gendered, or are the only role given, or therefore not dichotomous, given that the vast majority of mobs are intersex, literally only countered by maybe one boss and her little prisoners, then Minecraft functions as a piece of post-gender media. I'm sorry, it's the epitome of gender mattering so little that even the most generous gendering of its characters reveals nothing genderized about any society, game interaction, or mechanic in the entire game. Its devotion to this concept runs almost entirely across the board. I say, this makes it a bit of a masterpiece for the ideology. So, yes, Minecraft is a post-gender masterpiece. Thank you for your time.